Good morning, MDY, and welcome to online Bible class. We are still in our series looking at the parables of Jesus. I just want to leave you with a question this week to think over the next few days, and we'll revisit this same parable next Sunday and unpack it a little more and what it means for our lives and our relationship with Jesus. But this week, we are in Matthew chapter 9, and I want to read to you this parable beginning, I think, about in verse 14. And it says here, one day the disciples of John the Baptist came to Jesus and asked him, "Why don't your disciples fast like we do and the Pharisees do?" And Jesus replied, "Do wedding guests mourn while celebrating with the groom? Of course not. But someday the groom will be taken from them, and they will fast. Besides," Jesus said, "who would patch old clothing with new cloth? For the new patch would shrink and rip away from the old cloth, leaving an even bigger tear than before. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins, for the old skins would burst from the pressure, spilling the wine and ruining the skins. New wine is stored in new wineskins so that both are preserved." Now, I think Jesus was talking about a couple of specific things here. One, he was talking about his relationship to his disciples and the fact that he knew he was going to be leaving this earth very soon, or at least relatively soon. And so their time with him was important. They did not need to be spending time fasting. They needed to be spending time with him. And then also, another key point he's making is comparing and contrasting the old law with the new gospel of grace that he came to bring the world. And I think next week we may get into that a little bit more. But essentially, he's saying, listen, you can't be practicing some of the requirements of the old law with the new. The new has to take over. And so this morning what I want to focus on is even a little bit outside the parameter of this specific parable. And I want to talk about our lives in relationship to Jesus and our lives in relationship to his gospel of grace. And how can our lives exist in newness if we cannot or will not let go of the old? So here's what I want you to think about this week. A lot of times I think we try to continue to fit Jesus maybe into old patterns, into old ways of understanding. See, I think we all grew up understanding Jesus a certain way as children, but the way we understand Jesus, the way we understand God the Father as a child doesn't work necessarily when we are a teenager. And then the way we understand and maybe even walk with God doesn't necessarily always translate and work as we may understand him as adults. Now, of course, Jesus said, unless you become like little children, you can't be with me or even maybe understand me. That's another teaching that we can look at. But this week, I want to focus on this one issue, this one question. What maybe do we need to let go of? What framework, what understanding maybe is holding us back from new growth in Jesus? What old patterns in our lives? Maybe patterns of sinfulness, maybe patterns of shame, maybe patterns of maybe just not understanding some things that we could step forward in, but we just aren't stepping forward in faith. We're going to dig into those a little bit more next week. But this week, I just want you to begin thinking, maybe what are some of those things that I need to let go of? This past week at Bible study, we were looking at Philippians chapter 3. And we saw the words of Paul when he talked about his former way of life, which he thought he was doing things right. In fact, he had a certain understanding of God, but it was the wrong understanding. And he says in Philippians chapter 3, he says, listen, forgetting what's behind, I had to put the old behind and press on toward the new stuff. So this week, I actually got the final footage of the demolition of our church building at 747. And the last couple of days, I've been working on compiling over 6,000 photographs into a time lapse. And we've ended up with like 2.5 minutes of a time lapse of our building being demoed. And I actually want you to watch that here in just a minute. And I want you to watch it with this eye and with this thought. You know, for us to move forward, we couldn't move forward. Our church family can't move forward with an old shell of a building. You know, if we wanted to salvage as much of that building as possible, the idea sounded good, but it just couldn't work. And it ended up that the decision had to be made, a hard decision, a difficult decision, to demolish everything, to level everything to the ground in order for us to move forward. And so as you watch this video of the demo of the church building, I just want you to ask yourself, what is it I need to let go of? What do I need to demolish in my life that's keeping me from moving deeper, from moving closer to Jesus? Because see, when we've got our sin, when we've got our junk going on, it gets between us and intimate relationship with Jesus. So just this week, I just want you to work on that question. And I want you to do some self-reflecting, some introspection, and ask yourself that question. So let's watch this video together. So now I want to finish with just a few announcements. Man, things just seem to be getting more and more challenging. We are very likely here soon going to be giving some deeper thought to how we can be safer when we do things together. Of course, with the heat coming on, we're possibly going to be looking at some indoor activities, and those activities will probably be done with masks on. We're going to continue to do as much as we possibly can outdoors, and with some awareness or consciousness of keeping safe distance, because the numbers just keep going up, and we want to be a helpful part of our society that's doing our part to seeing numbers go down. And so just keep that in your awareness. This Tuesday, we have a Tuesday meetup planned. We're planning on doing a road trip, and this is going to be one of 2 or 3 or 4 road trips that kind of take the place of our end of summer trips. But this Tuesday, we've got one of a couple of water place ideas. In fact, this Sunday morning, I'm going to take a quick road trip to check out one of the spots, and it may be the place we go to Tuesday. So stay tuned to the announcement about what this Tuesday will be about. This will be a road trip. It'll be in our own vehicles. So just be ready for that. Maybe talk to some people that you can carpool with, people that you've had exposure to already. And we're going to go try to cool down at some water hole somewhere close. This Wednesday night, we've got Backyard Youth Group. Stay tuned to the location of that. It'll likely be 6:30 to 8 p.m. again. This Thursday, we'll also have Coffee Shop Bible Study again. Stay tuned to for our next passage that we'll be studying, and plan to join us. And then the following week, we'll have a Tuesday road trip. I'm hoping that's what we're looking for, at least. So I pray that you have a great week. I pray that you spend some time just reflecting on your life and what may be standing in the way between you and Jesus. What part of the old wineskin needs to go away? What part of the old clothing, the old way of understanding, old habits, old whatever? And we're going to look at that a little deeper next Sunday. So anyway, have a great week. I hope to see you at something we've got going on this week. We miss seeing you when you're not around, and the encouragement that you bring. So have a great week, and we'll catch up soon. Take care.